Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Andrew, and we are the IB English guys. Folks, in our last video, we looked at an advertisement, specifically an ice cream ad for Haagen-Dazs. That made us pretty hungry. I hope it made you hungry as well. Today, we're going to look at a piece of academic writing about that ad. We really want to think about how we can take those concepts and produce a good, strong piece of writing. Mr. Giles, before we do that, what do you say we look at the ad and talk about an important acronym we went over last class?
Yeah, we like an acronym to help us deconstruct advertisements. It's a good entry point for us to look at some of the different qualities of advertisements. So here is our acronym, and we'll talk about what each one of these letters stand for.
Briefly.
Please call Aunt Vera to eat Vietnamese spring rolls. That's our acronym.
All right, please call Aunt Vera to eat Vietnamese spring rolls. His Aunt Vera. Mr. Jaws, what's the P stand for? Quickly.
The P stands for the producer or the product being sold.
Yeah, the C stands for the culture and the context in which the ad was produced.
The A is the audience. Who are they selling the product for?
The V is the values, which values are being associated with that product.
The text is the T is for text, for language and copy of the text.
The E are your emotions or mood, the emotions that are evoked from the ad itself.
V stands for visuals or layout, thinking about it as a multimodal text.
And the S stands for the subtext. What's the subtext, Mr. Giles?
The subtext is the underlying message or underlying implication of the advertisement.
I like that, Mr. Giles. Okay. What do you say we go ahead and take a close look at this? This is a detailed chart that our student made. Let's look at the reference. Let's look at the features they're looking at. But more importantly, let's look at that analysis and what they might be getting at.
Yeah, this is a way for us to really look at visuals and language in much more detail. So the first reference is precisely crafted. This is in the copy of the text in the bottom left-hand corner. I noticed that we have this adverb of precisely, and also that whole the idea of something being crafted. This is very, the connotations of both of those words is really that they're very careful and meticulous with their work.
I like that. I also like the phrase, strike the perfect note. For me, I think there's a bit of a double meaning here. You know, we have the notes that are associated with music, but when we're tasting something, you may say, oh, you know, there's a slight note of a nutty flavor there, you know, whatever some pretentious ice cream taster might say, but there is a connection between the notes of taste and the notes of musicality.
Yeah, that's right. And they're helping to expand that whole visual metaphor that was a part of the ad in the visuals, and that's a double meaning. Finest ingredients is an often used expression in advertisements for food. Finest is that superlative, and that use of superlative helps to kind of emphasize that they're really careful with every little ingredient in their ice cream.
Yeah, finest implies that's the end of the road. There's no most finest or most finest.
Yeah, and a lot of ice creams have a lot of additives and chemicals, and so they're trying to really differentiate them.
Yeah, I think the main image is really interesting to talk about, Mr. Giles. One of the things I really notice is the use of negative space, and by using that negative space, which of course is that white space in the background between the images, it allows you to really focus on each individual ingredient and see the detail and see the precision that's needed to craft this ice cream.
Yeah, that's right. And it's so clean. I think it's such a clean composition. It's very light. And I think when I'm looking at the composition of the entire image, I'm thinking about the symmetry of those two columns side by side with each other. That really stands out.
Yeah, of course, we see the extended metaphor comparing the ice cream to the violin. And I think about that top part of the ad, and I think about the violin's body, right? And it's just... The actual core is really simple. It's just that wood with that wood frame, just like the core of the ice cream is that rich chocolate and that really creamy milk that they're using.
Good point.
It's like the foundation, the fundamental base of this is rooted in precision and simplicity, but elegance at the same time.
Ooh, that's good. You're right. The violin is very simple when you break it down. It's only got a few different materials.
But they're quality materials, right?
That's great. We also know this idea of like the middle ingredients. Those middle ingredients help to kind of show the exclusiveness of the different components, especially like the vanilla bean, the peanut butter. These things are very they're essential and they're pure and they're natural in their natural state. I think that's important.
Well, talking about their natural state in the end, I can't help but notice, I mean, the final product itself, I mean, we have to say that the violin and the ice cream bar, they're actually pretty similar in shape at the end, Mr. Giles, right? The way they're laid side by side. So they're kind of just finishing off that close connection, and that's supported by the actual box of ice cream in the lower right corner. And I think that really does a nice job of kind of concluding. It's sort of like their conclusion to their ad campaign there.
Yeah. Let's now move to the piece of writing that was that a student put together for this particular advertisement, we see 2 paragraphs here. And we're just going to very briefly talk about some of the different elements that they talked about.
Yeah, what do you say we go ahead and read the first paragraph aloud, Mr. Giles? I got it. Through this print ad, Haagen-Dazs suggests that, like a fine violin, their ice cream is an exclusive product crafted with intentionality and the finest ingredients, thus resulting in excellence. The visual aspect of the ad depicts the main image of a carefully crafted violin, juxtaposed with a carefully crafted ice cream bar. The extensive negative space allows each element of both the violin and the ice cream to be viewed cleanly and easily, and this mirrors the precision that both Haagen-Dazs and the violin craftsmen put into their work. The reader can infer that both endeavors require care, precision, and intense focus to create an exclusive and expensive product. Furthermore, by splitting the main image into 3 smaller sections, the viewers can infer that each production stage demands excellence. While the top third of the image symbolizes the simple yet elegant design, the middle third clearly illustrates the purity and sophistication of the ingredients that go into each part of the ice cream. In particular, the vanilla bean stands out among the other ingredients. Most consumers of fine foods understand the value of this bean, and this ingredient symbolizes the important luxury ingredients that define both products. Finally, the bottom third of the image displays the final product in both cases. This allows the reader to see the result of this intense focus, intentionality, and craftsmanship, thus establishing the violin and ice cream bar as exclusive products worth their exorbitant cost.
I like the exorbitant cost. That's good. So let's take this paragraph, and then we'll maybe read the second
good.
one.
What do you notice?
I first of all, I like how the student is focusing on the visuals in one paragraph in detail. It's so clear and obvious that they're doing that, and that's established in the topic sentence. That's really nice.
Yeah, and I think we see that juxtaposition. They're using the course terminology to show that how they're similar yet different at the same time. And by declaring the visual aspect, they're letting you know we are talking about visuals only. We'll pick up the language later. I like that.
I agree with you. The author is Haagen-Dazs, and Haagen-Dazs is a part of the advertisement. They're in the driver's seat. They're the ones making these decisions and choices, and I think that's really nice. We see also it's breaking down different parts of the image, the top third, the bottom third, the final third, and it's very clear. It's a very logical way of walking through the ad.
I think as a student, we need to do that. We want to talk about structurally in the composition. We need to think about what are some natural breaking points so we can talk about this in a systematic way. And this student has chosen to break it into sections, and that manifests there with some symbols. And they even do some inferencing there, which I think is well done.
Agreed. And I like the nuance of the vanilla bean, like just knowing that the vanilla bean is expensive and that it stands out with the other ingredients. That just shows that they're taking some time with some of the detail.
Yeah, we see the transition word finally, which indicates to me that this is probably example 3 of a multi-example paragraph, and it is. Again, they're showing the effect on the reader, and then coming back to those values of focus, intentionality, and craftsmanship, and then acknowledging that the company is trying to justify the cost. I think they're remembering that this ad has commercial implications and money has to be spent here, so we have to justify that expense.
That's great.
Why don't you take the second paragraph, Giles? Read it and we'll talk about it.
Okay. Moreover, the ad's copy also reinforces the values of precision and excellence. The phrase precisely crafted combines a strong adverb with an active verb crafted, and both words emphasize the skill and expertise needed to create the violin and the ice cream. When we craft something, we take our time to put in extra effort, and this is precisely the idea that Haagen-Dazs wants consumers to associate with their ice cream. The double meaning of the phrase strike the perfect note also adds humor to the ad, as food and wine connoisseurs often refer to notes when explaining the taste of an elegant food or beverage. This clever and intentional pun from Haagen-Dazs successfully forces the consumer to associate ice cream with another product of much higher value, thus helping reinforce their claim that Haagen-Dazs is worth the price. Lastly, the superlative of finest stands out and distinguishes both products as unparalleled and without competition. All of the instruments and ice creams on the market, the viewer is persuaded that these are of superior quality and consist of only the best ingredients. Thus, in the end, through intentional visual elements and precise language choices, Haagen-Dazs convinces the reader that their ice cream is worth the hefty price.
All right, Jaws. I like the topic sentence, okay? They're talking about the copy, so I know that this time, as opposed to visuals, they're going to look at the language, and then they're going to link that to the value messages of precision and excellence. Really strong topic sentence.
I agree, and I think it shows that this student has studied advertising and using the phrase copy. I think that, again, just shows they're connected to advertising as a text type. We see the discussion of the double meaning of strike the perfect note. I really like that. I think that adds some depth of thinking. I also like, previous to that, the way they actually unpack the word craft.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. It says, when we craft something. I kind of like that use of inclusive language there. I think it adds a confidence and it adds some voice to the writing. And they definitely talk about that because they actually tap into that advertising technique of association and their need to do that, right? Haagen-Dazs is associating this idea of craftsmanship to their product, and I think that's really interesting.
And that's really the main idea that's driven throughout this paragraph is the fact of the high precision and excellence, right? And so we see that even the phrase finest is used to help to illustrate the idea that this is a precise and excellent price.
Much like the first paragraph, this paragraph ends with the word hefty price, whereas the last paragraph ended with exorbitant cost.
It's almost like I wrote this because I just spent this money on my ass.
Right? So you can really see that the student is making that connection between, yes, this has commercial implications, and Haagen-Dazs is going to great lengths to justify that $15 price tag for Haagen-Dazs here in ice cream. Folks, here in Thailand, rather.
Yeah.
Folks, in the end, we hope that you've enjoyed this video. We hope that it provided some value for you, and we hope that you're developing some confidence with your academic writing. Stay with the channel. Come on back next time, and we'll explore another text type and another piece of writing. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.